Welcome to the council recap. We are here today with our mayor, Art Minor.
Good afternoon, everybody.
We and the mayor and I are going to give you a recap of the happenings from the last city council meeting that took place on Monday night, June 28th. We started off the meeting with a few presentations, one of which was service awards for our employees celebrating milestone anniversaries with the city. And during that particular item, we recognized Vicki C. from the police department, who was celebrating 10 years with the city of Watauga, and then Connie McCrary, who also is with the police department. Connie actually retired on June the 18th of this year, but when she retired, she had 5 years of service with the city. So congratulations to both Vicki and Connie for their service and commitment to the city of Watauga.
After that, the next presentation was by the BISD trustees, and Dr. Brown, who is leading BISD, was also there. And they're looking to get a deviation from the fire code on some new buildings that they've put in, some portable buildings. And the council has just requested that we get some more information before we make any type of a decision.
And as you know, citizens, we moved into public comment and public testimony for action items. Unfortunately, we did not have any public comment or public testimony on our action items on Monday night. Then the next section was our consent agenda, and there were a total of 8 items on the consent agenda. We aren't going to go over each and every item because a lot of them, as the consent agenda is intended for, are housekeeping type items that include the approval of our monthly financial report, as well as minutes from our past meetings for the council to consider. But Mayor, I know that there were a couple of items that you wanted to point out to the residents that were on the consent agenda.
Yes, ma'am. One of them, the Public Works, the council authorized the disposal of some surplus equipment. And that equipment will be sold to a vendor, and that money will go toward new equipment, which equates to a cost savings for the city. You mentioned the financial report. We approved construction on the Hightower Rain Garden. And the biggest thing I think on the consent agenda was the library board voted to move their meetings to the second Tuesday of every month, and that will be at 6 p.m.
All right, great. And so on the Hightower Rain Gardens that the mayor mentioned, Burgess and Nyepel will be providing the design services for that particular project. So once the design is complete, as the mayor said, then it will move into construction. Then we moved on onto action items, and we began action items with a discussion that ended in direction to myself regarding operations for a van for recreation, and in particular for the seniors that participate in the senior programs at the Recreation Center. The discussion was centered around the purchase of a van and whether or not that van would be purchased by the city or purchased by one of our newest businesses that located to Watauga, and that was Smiley Transportation. For those of you that aren't aware, last month or later, actually it was earlier this month, Smiley Transportation received its certificate of occupancy, but their building had been under construction for several months. Their groundbreaking was in October of last year, and so they are officially a business of the city of Watauga, and they provide transportation services primarily to school-aged children for before and after school, and to different programs after school. So the city's interested in working with Smiley and hopes that they will be able to help us with our transportation needs, mostly for the seniors and the programs at the senior center. And then eventually, in future years, we plan to work with them to provide a form of public transportation for all of our Watauga residents. The council did give myself as city manager permission to continue negotiations with Smiley and work on purchasing a van where Smiley Transportation would have a dedicated number of fleet to ensure that our public transportation needs in the city of Watauga could be met. Mayor, was there anything you wanted to add in regards to that particular item?
No, well, I guess the part of it, of the transportation thing, would be providing transportation for events such as Watauga Fest to help alleviate some of the parking issues that we've had over the years. Is that true?
That is the hope, that we will certainly be able to do that and incorporate that into a future agreement with Smiley Transportation. There are a number of things that the Economic Development Corporation, as you know, Mayor, since you serve as the president, is working on with Smiley Transportation, economic development agreements, and the mayor is correct. Those do include negotiations surrounding transportation or shuttle services for city events.
And then I'll just add that we're proud that Smiley chose Watauga as the place for their offices, and look forward to a lot of good things with them. Next item was one of mine. That was my recommendations for liaisons to all the boards. Recommendations were made. There were no questions or changes requested by the council, so that was approved as was. Item 3 was pulled. We just weren't ready to move forward with that. And then item 4. Item 4 was the wanting to move back to one meeting a month for the city council. As we move into the budget process, which we are in right now, we're pretty much going to have 2 meetings a month, if not more, up until September. So we postponed this item until a further date, and we'll look at it again after the budget process.
So when you postpone an item, Mayor, that means basically that you took no action on it?
Correct.
And you plan to, at some point in the future, just not specify at this time?
Yes, ma'am.
It will come back.
Yes.
All right.
Let's see. There were no items for future agenda. And we went into executive session, one of our shortest executive sessions we've had in a while. 2 of the items, item 1 and item 2, we took no action on. Item 3, we had a spirited debate, we'll say, over a proposed new contract for the lawyer, for our city attorney rather. And once we recessed, came back into our regular meeting, there was a motion made to approve the amended or new contract. It was seconded and it was voted on and it failed. So that with that, we adjourned the meeting. And,
so just for a little clarification, Mayor, when you say you met in executive session to discuss items 1 and 2, that doesn't mean that because you say there was no action taken, that there was no discussion regarding the matters. Because a lot of times there's considerable discussion. It's just that they don't warrant action at this time, but may in the future lead to action. Is that correct?
Correct. Just like item 1 had to do with the business, discussion on contracts, negotiations, things that we're just not quite ready to move forward on, whether it's something the council needs clarification on or we have to get an okay from the business. And we can go back and forth in executive session for businesses like that 3 or 4 or 5 times before we can come to an agreement. So yeah, just because we take no action, some of the marathon executive sessions we have had in the past, there is things going on behind the scenes.
Yeah. So. And you're right, a lot of times the discussion of surrounding items that are talked about in executive session, because they do have a sensitive or confidential nature to them, sometimes they can be rather spirited discussions.
Yes, they can.
For sure. And then for those of you at home that didn't get a chance to watch the workshop live, that was just before the regular meeting, the hour before the regular meeting, our Public Works Director, Paul Hackelman, gave an update to the council on our public improvements projects. So take a look at that. The updates now include development updates. And so the end of the report has all of the development that's going on in the city and an update on each one of those developments. As we stated at the beginning, this is a council recap, and we certainly hope that you are finding these videos very helpful and certainly less time consuming than watching the actual council meeting. So we thank you for your attention today and hope you have a great Wednesday.
If I may, just 2 quick things. 4th of July weekend is coming up. Northeast Tarrant Chamber of Commerce is sponsoring the fireworks event. And you can go to anytarrant.org to get information for that. And today is June 30th. I'm going to make my last pitch for citizens to get their cybersecurity completed. And new applications for boards if they wish to be reappointed. Today is the deadline, and I'll be moving forward and removing people from the boards, unfortunately. We do need citizen involvement and really appreciate those that are doing it. And with that, have a great 4th of July. Be safe.
All right. And thank you, Mayor, for your contributions to ensuring our independence in this country. We know that you served this country well, and we appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.